Hello guys, welcome back to Paula's Kitchen. Well, today it is Paula and Curtis's kitchen. So today I have a special guest with me, and that's my husband Curtis Fox, and he's gonna show us how he makes his special Spanish rice. So we're gonna find out exactly what he does to get this rice going. Curtis, can you tell us how you make this rice?
Well, good to be invited on, I guess. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and in making Spanish rice, I must make something clear. I tend to use brown rice only because it has better glycemic index. It's more nutritious. So I use 2 parts of water for 1 part of rice. However, I'm a bit lean on the water. So I have 3 cups of rice, and I'm going to put about 2 1/4, 2.5 to 3/4 bits of water, and then I'm going to put some salt, and I will let it come to a boil, a firm boil. So I will be raising my lid from time to time, and I will be dispensing of the water, and I am going to be examining the rice to make sure that I turn it over so that there will be more surface to get dry. I'll be monitoring it to make sure it is consistent and stirring it to ensure that it doesn't burn and that it dries out appropriately.
All right, well thank you. I know this is just the first part of how we make this rice. So we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll come back and show you what the rice looks like when it's done. Okay, so we are back with our rice, and Curtis is gonna tell us how it's going.
I don't remember the exact time, but I think it's about 20 minutes ago. The rice was being boiled, and now I'm checking on it, and I am seeing that it's pretty much consistent. It's dry, basically, and cooked. So I think I'm done with this. So I am going to take this off, and then I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the other part of this. So what I want to do, the major ingredient for the Spanish rice is carrots. So I took my time and I cut up carrots very fine, small, very small cubes of carrot, and I have a nice bowl of this, and then I have a bowl of onion as well. Who would want to cook without it? And then I have some flavor pepper. Some people are not aware of what flavor pepper is, but it's a sort of pimiento. It is actually grown. I actually grew some on my veranda this year. I had actually a number of trees, and I got some flavor pepper. This pepper has a lot of flavor and will create an aroma in this house, perhaps in my whole neighborhood. So I have this flavor pepper, and I have about 5 of them here, all diced as well. Then I would use other ingredients. Of course, I'll begin my process with oil to saute, as it were, this. And then I have
how much oil you're gonna use.
I'm going to use just a dash of oil to create
It's about a tablespoon.
a tablespoon. I would use about a tablespoon or 2 of oil, okay? And that is cooking oil, such as pure canola oil. I use vegetable oil. And then I would use a number of seasonings, all right? I have green seasoning, and I will maybe show that at some point. And then I have oregano and basil and tomato. I have thyme that I would put in, and some rosemary. And then I would add some Worcester sauce and some other seasoning, you know, Miss Dash seasoning, some garlic to taste, and I would use some Magi seasoning. All right, this is a seasoning that I am familiar with. I see it a lot in the Caribbean. And then I have some cayenne pepper. I would want to make sure that I have a bit of cayenne pepper to give it just a little zing, not too hot, because some kids don't particularly like that. So, and those would be my major ingredients, along with my green seasoning that I have. We have a number of ingredients: thyme and chive and celery and onion, and that's frozen, so I will use that as well in this whole mix. And then I would, after sauteing this, I would take my rice and I would include it there, and then continue to stir it and until the consistency is there. And when I am satisfied with that, after adding all the seasoning, then I will cover the pot for a while and allow it to sort of simmer and cook nicely. And I would make sure that it's tasting right, enough salt to taste, not too much of course, because we know the dangers of that. And then you will be ready to eat Spanish rice. I assure you that it would be a very nice taste and would add some color to the table as well.
All right, well, we'll come back shortly and see how you do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're ready to put the rice together. So go ahead and tell us what you're doing.
Okay, so as I said, I would use a few tablespoons of oil.
It looks like about two
Think
tablespoons. Yeah.
about 2 tablespoons. That should always be used moderately. Some people would actually do it without that, and I applaud them. I'm not able to do that very well. And one of the first things, of course, I would add is the onions.
About how much onions are you adding?
I use 1 whole onion, not the largest onion I would find, but 1 whole onion. So let's say there will be a fair amount of onion in the pot, okay? So I would say about 1 whole onion.
All right, what else?
And then, of course, I would let this simmer a bit, because I believe that's how onion loses some of the very characteristic flavor and smell. Some people love it, and I like to take some of that out of the onion because I feel like it becomes overpowering in the pot.
All right.
Then, of course, I would add my flavor pepper.
That looks good.
Flavor pepper.
And about how long do you let that cook?
I would let this cook just for about 2 minutes, because I just want to make sure that I would not be dealing with raw onions, if you will. So some fire, I think, will take the taste down just a little bit. The characteristic onion taste or smell.
All right, what are you adding now?
And the next thing I would add would be my major ingredient, which would be carrots. While this is happening, I guess I could add some green seasoning.
All right, can you tell us more about that green seasoning?
This green seasoning has a number of important ingredients, such as celery and chive and onions and that kind of stuff. Some onions, some pepper, thyme, and so on. Shadow Benny is a famous herb in the Caribbean, and that's also in here. And some soy and celery. Okay, so I have that here, and I added about 4 tablespoons of that. I will keep stirring my onion.
You want it to burn, right?
No, I would not want that. And while I'm waiting on my onion to saute, I would also put some oregano.
And about how much are you putting?
About 3 pinches of oregano, and I will also put some thyme, and
This is ground thyme.
this is ground. I think it's sometimes helpful to me to have it, so I will put about a half of a teaspoon or so, or teaspoon, and I would also use some famous rosemary. Who would want to cook without some rosemary? I think about a teaspoon as well.
Right. Now you don't usually measure when you're cooking, no?
I don't do recipes. I make my own, and this is ginger.
So how much ginger you put?
So a dash of ginger. I do not like ginger to overpower my food either. So I keep stirring this. And it's coming to the place where I would want it. And while I'm waiting on that, I would use some Worcester sauce, Lee and Perry. I would put
That's about a teaspoon.
some Mrs. Dash, about a teaspoon as well. And I would put some garlic,
Okay.
and I go lightly on garlic. While I think garlic is nice, I do not like garlic to overpower my food either. So, and then I would use some basil or tomato, oregano seasoning again, and I think my cayenne pepper should be in here, right? I go relatively lightly, but I think the food should tell the story. Now I would add my
Carrot.
my carrots.
Looking good.
You good? So I would make sure and stir this. I would put just a touch of oil,
So a little more.
I think, because my carrots turned out to be a good bit. So I think that would be helpful.
By the way, how did you prepare those carrots? You said you just chop them up?
I chopped up the carrots. I cubed them very small. So, because I wanted them to be relatively close to the size of a rice grain, if you will, so that there will be some balance in the two major ingredients. So I didn't want very large pieces of carrot. I would reserve that for soup, which perhaps I would make one day.
All right, so when are you going to add your rice?
I want the carrot to be sauteed well before putting my rice, because that is the ingredient that I am giving the greater part of the taste.
Right, so that is looking really good. Can you tell us what else you added to this pot?
I added Vegemite. Vegemite. It's an yeast extract that has a lot of flavor. I think it comes out of Australia, but it is one of the things that, again, I sort of have become accustomed to. I see it in the Caribbean and Canada and England more than I see it in the United States. But I get it at certain stores or online. And then I would add my rice. So I'm ready to add rice. This rice that is relatively firm, I would now add to my pot. I don't want to off-balance the consistency of my pot, so in a little while I will be checking, but my suspicion is just about here, this will begin to happen. So what I would do is stir my pot to see how this is working out for me. Okay, I just turned the pot down to the lowest. Okay, and I want to make sure
You got everything mixed in there.
everything is mixed in. Very well.
All right.
One of the things I may do is change my burner, because at this point I need the lowest possible flame, because my rice is already cooked. So I do not want to create a bad situation for my rice here. So I'm creating just enough heat to create an amalgamation of my rice and my carrots and the other ingredients that I put in there.
Now, is that a whole pepper I'm seeing in there?
No,
Or just a piece?
I took 2 pimientos and I actually cut them into larger pieces because I added that just for flavor, so that I may even extract at some point, but I put it in there just for flavor, so it's not a whole pepper. It's just a pepper cut into about 4 pieces. And that's not a hot pepper. I should tell you, the pimiento is simply a flavor pepper. It smells violently hot, but it's actually a sweet pepper.
All right, so we'll let you do that, and then we'll come back when you're all done with the cooking.
Okay.
All right, guys, so we are done with the Spanish rice, and we want you to see what the finished product looks like. Yes, and we're gonna
Okay.
have a taste of it, right?
So I'm gonna put some in here for taste,
All right.
and this is what it looks like. I made sure to stir it up, make sure it's not burning, and I think it's about time to take the stove off. And there you go. It's time to taste it too.
All right, let me have a taste of this. This is very good. You can eat it just like that, or you can add some beans or whatever you like to go with the rice, but this is awesome.
Well, I would add beans because that would be the protein, since this is mostly carbohydrate, with of course some vegetables. So obviously, I think I would have a large amount of beans and other legumes and stuff to go with this.
Well, Curtis, we want to thank you for joining us today. And we want to thank you guys for viewing. Please try this at home, subscribe, and put some comments for us. Thank you. We'll see you next time.